Do you trust your crypto assets to centralized exchanges that actively sell your private information and front run your trades? Would you like to buy and sell your assets without any middlemen, intermediaries, or robots? Do you like paying slippage, fees, and having the price go up as bots steal from you on low liquidity decentralized exchanges? The solution is nodemarket.io. Set your guaranteed buy or sell price. No middlemen, no slippage, no bots, ever. Buy or sell 1, 10, or even 10 million tokens, and you never have to worry. OTC trades are between you and the seller or buyer, guaranteed by audited smart contracts and no human middlemen. Nodemarket.io.
Are you tired of all the uneducated noise you're getting from the droves of YOLO meme coin peddling douchebag gurus out there trying to use you as their exit liquidity? Would you rather learn a competent university level set of skills that will guide you in managing and investing for the rest of your life? Join us 3 days a week at Digital Investor. Develop your knowledge of game theory, cognitive bias, macroeconomics, monetary theory, investment theory, psychology of the crowds, and more. For more info on Digital Investor and how it can help you, reach out at nickblacknext.com.
You do know it's Tuesday, right? Yes, it is Tuesday. But yes, tomorrow we will welcome Wednesday. Hello. All right, let's see. I don't think I missed any questions. We're going to talk about incremental decision making. That'll be fun for most people that just make spammy, garbagey decisions, like teams that don't listen to the correct consultants. They listen to a bunch of creeps and degens and thieves. Don't be that guy. All right, let's see. Hello. Where are you that it's Wednesday? Where are you that it's a full day ahead already? Where are you, Heavy? Hello. Let's see. What the smoke? You got your times without colons. You got your dates. You have the day. You got the month in the wrong place. You are all over the place. Now I figured out why they secluded all of you guys on a big island. It's all starting to make sense now. All right. Okay, so if you guys have any basic questions, we can knock those out. But we're going to stay away from talking about specific assets and things like that. Everything's macro. You had a bank fail over the last 2 days. You've had a bank fail. So we're getting back into the kind of situation similar to last year. It was around March of last year, I think, when you started when Silicon Valley, Silvergate, those three banks got nuked. And I think in the case of Silvergate, they actually were illiquid but not insolvent. None of them could go to repo for whatever reason. They didn't have any quality collateral to lend, or no one would extend them. And so, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. So we'll see. This was This was a regional bank. At first, I think it was one of the First Republic branches. Not a branch. First Republic. Let me see. Let me see if there's any quick bits on it. Well, I'm not. Let's not go into the specifics of it. I'm sure if a bank failed, Jeff Snyder will do a show on it. So, and he'll probably break it all down. Matter of fact, I think he already did. I saw the little blurb. So I would go check that out. So, you'll see also the BTFP, the Bank Term Funding Program, came to a close because they were gaming it. They were arbing the rate they could borrow at and the rate they could lend at. So when the BTFP shut down, which was they were trying to kind of rename the Fed's discount window, which is also the embarrassment window. When they shut down that window, there was a lot of banks taking loans up until the very last moment. And so you think, well, some of that's arbitrage, but some of that may have been necessary borrowing, like legitimately banks that couldn't get money in the repo market because they didn't have quality collateral. If you don't have quality collateral, if you have a bunch of bull crap and you go to repo, they're like, no, we're not taking your crap. This is not 2000. Well, this is not from the beginning of time up to 2007. We're not taking your crap. So if you don't have quality collateral, you can't go to repo. If you can't go to repo, you can't access short-term funding squeezes and problems. And if you can't do that, you go to the discount window. But if you go to the discount window, you got to have something to offer them up too. They're not just throwing money out. So if you have no collateral, if you have collateral that wasn't good enough for repo, it's not good enough for the discount window, and that's the Fed. Of course, they don't like to call it the discount window. They keep changing the name of it. And then they even wanted to make it where banks had to use the discount window to take away the stigma of being at the discount window. It's really the failure window. If you go to the Fed's discount window, everyone knows you're in trouble. So what they're trying to do is say, no. Every bank should be required to come borrow some money. And that, BTFP, they started it. The problem is when they did the Bank Term Funding Program, again, to change like the look and feel of the discount window so that it wasn't like, losers form a line right here. They did it in such a way that all these banks gamed the discount window. So they folded it. So it's like they just, it's almost mind-boggling if your whole job is math and not even big math, small math, like, a few basis points here, a few basis points there. If your only job on the planet is very, very basic ass division and mostly just division, and you can't get that right, and then you let it run for 6-8 months before you figure out that banks are gaming your stupid price. Like, just like, how stupid are these people? You like to think that there's some really incredibly intelligent people somewhere in finance, but no matter where you look, you just see dummies. It's crazy. There's no way that some jackwagons on YouTube should be able to point out how stupid, like actually mathematically stupid, these guys are. It's the well, it's a bottomless well of stupid. Yeah. All right. Good for the Fed. Like, who do they hire? Like, who's working there? Who's doing research? Like, Morty from Rick and Morty, is he doing the research for the Fed? Anyway, end of Passover. Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with markets, but true. A factually true statement. Still, the first time there's an attack, it's a big deal. The second time there's an attack, it's kind of a big deal. Pretty soon, it's just they do attacks. Okay, great. So, like, this too will wane in people's interest. I know that sounds maybe callous, but think about the situation in Ukraine. Keeps on going. They're still battling. It's not like it was a few years ago. when it first happened, and we're like, oh my God, Russians, this is World War III and all this. Like all of these things just, they slowly diminish in their ability to like excite you. It's like the problem with the Transformers movies is they start too big and it's like robots and colory crap all over the screen. If you start like that in the first 5 minutes and your movie's like 2 hours and 900 minutes long, about 16 minutes into it, you're like, I'm so over this crap. Why? And also like, why is a giant, like if you're on an alien planet and you're just coming up with weird combinations, you're a transformer, you just transform into weird things. Why would you take the shape of a monkey, a lizard, an owl, a T-Rex, a truck, an airplane? What the hell would any of that stuff have to do with your alien planet that's never been to Earth? Like, come on, man. Dial back the stupid a little bit. Come on, Hollywood. Failing all of us. Like, if you dig into those things, it's all a bottomless well, man. Let's see. How do you know, or why is that bias day? What do you mean? Oh, there's a they did this a while back. So when we did the cognitive biases, we should probably go through the cognitive biases. Maybe that's not a bad idea either. But there's 25 main cognitive biases that affect most people, that pervert our decision making to the lesser, to the worse, right? Cognitive biases are these kind of flaws, these mental handicaps that we have from the way we were brought up that create statistical deviations from a standard of rational judgment. So statistically bad thoughts, not bad like mean, but it can be mean, but things that derail rational thinking, pragmatic, critical, game theoretical thinking. So you have these cognitive biases that are kind of like, little speed bumps or like, detours. And so you want to make sure that you're aware of those things. Well, I believe there was somebody or somebody's came up with a daily, like a thing that would spit out a daily cognitive bias that you could make yourself more aware of. And if you do this on a regular basis, then you would learn these cognitive biases, today being the fundamental attribution error, assuming the kind of person someone is versus social and environmental forces at work, causes you to draw the wrong conclusions. Yes. I had a document. I don't think it's on this computer. Let me see. Maybe it is. Cognitive. Ooh. This one was, let's see, crypto game theory, cognitive biases. Ooh, this could be it. Let's see if it pops up somewhere. Okay, and so the fundamental attribution error, let's go and find it. Let me find out where it is first. The fundamental attribution error. Oh, that's number 3. That's easy. So that's the third one on the list. And this document that we did. Well, it should be in the back end there somewhere. For digital investors, everybody should have copies of this. But essentially, cognitive bias as the tendencies to think in certain ways that lead us to systematic deviations from a standard of rationality or sound judgment. They are studied in psychology and behavioral economics because they give us a deep understanding of why people make decisions the way they do. And why game theory applies in economics. Think about it. You have a whole system built on this concept of scarce or nearly scarce resources. And so it makes sense that economics would fall into the field of places where game theory has a direct and like very obvious application. And so the third one, and we have a whole document that's like the 25 main ones, and you can go play with them and check them out and all this kind of stuff. But the fundamental attribution error is, and this will be, I'm going to go into a longer description of it just because we have it, and I'll keep this document around. And if cruising reminds me, maybe we'll cover them each time. But This one, it's also known as correspondence bias. Let me turn this little stupid thing off. What's new? No one cares what's new. All right. People wrongly assume that what a person does is based more on the kind of person they are rather than the social and environmental forces at work on them. So this leaves them to make erroneous explanations for behavior. So as an example, you wave to somebody, maybe they're walking down the street, you wave to somebody, and they simply give you a quick kind of unfriendly nod as they walk by. So you would be making a fundamental attribution error if you assumed that this person's just a jerk. Like, oh, what a dick. Like, this guy's unfriendly, by nature, without considering that this person could have had a really bad day. He could have gotten some really bad news, his grandmother's being unplugged from life support. You don't know. And so they're otherwise just having a terrible day. And so them nodding was like the nicest thing they could muster. And you're like, what a dick. So you don't have enough information to draw a conclusion from like a little gesture or, just some kind of chance encounter. So just be careful, because this flaw in thinking it's more to do with interpersonal actions and relationships than it does in like actual investing, like for instance, in the credit markets and things like that, or just investing in crypto or whatever. But these things, they start to mount up. Cognitive biases mount up in that you can be deviated from being rational, and then you can deviate from the deviation. You hallucinate off of the course of like good sound thinking, right? Like we're trying to be iteratively better decision makers. So we have to be careful that we don't deviate, then deviate from the deviation, then deviate from that. And then pretty soon we're way over here and we're like talking about flat earth and worshiping aliens and crap. So it's important to realize that different people have different perspectives, right? And we're all coming to, well, especially like in the investment space, we're all coming to this from different backgrounds, different stories. And so when this then goes into how you look at the teams, and it goes a little bit deeper. So yeah, we say the 5 T's, right? And then the most important one is team. So also remember that these different individuals come from different backgrounds, and their stories and legends are all different. And so you have to factor that in a little bit. Like, where did they come from is probably important, because it may shape the way they present information to you, and then you may absorb it based on the way they present. Eastern Europeans are a lot colder in the way they present stuff. And so you wouldn't want to think, oh, that guy's a dick. Like, no, he's not a dick. He's just Russian. Now, if there's 2 Russians on a team, it violates the 2 Russian rule. 2 Russians is 1 Russian too many. So typically, if you see a team with 2 Russians, they rush into to use you as exit liquidity. So there you go. All right. Okay, let's keep it going. Nick Toxic. I don't know. It doesn't roll off the tongue, Howard. Nick Toxic. You're gonna have to do better. Endeavor to do better, Howard. Okay. Oh, that's right. It was a Google. Yeah. See if you can share it. It was like a Google Calendar thing that had one. Maybe Brandon can make one where it just every day presents a different cognitive bias. I think you don't think there's people protesting about what's going on in the Ukraine? That's, anyway. You have a bias calendar too. Tried to figure out how to share it a couple months back, but I wanted to send it the whole calendar. Oh, yeah. Don't do that. Howard thinks I should make nice with Mr. Ben. I watched the interview and he appeared to be extremely uncomfortable. He could not even get off a good snort. Yeah, he didn't snort much at all, did he? There was no clicking sounds or anything. He was just good old Ben. Hey, I like Ben the researcher. Ben the researcher is awesome. Ben the businessman is a tragedy. He's a traffic jam. I mean, it's awful. So, people are not good at everything. that people specialize and they get very good at very niche things. And I like Ben. I like the way I think he's kind of fun to listen to. He has a really cool vocabulary, although I do think he tries to dick move people a lot. There's easier ways to talk to people. And I think that you should have no more than 2 words per paragraph that no one except you and 6 dweebs in an office understands. And it doesn't, to me, it doesn't make me think you have a firm grasp on how to communicate with humans if you have to do that. If you can't put, super intense concepts into basic words that basic humans can understand, if you can't communicate with an 8th grader or an 18-year-old or an 88-year-old, then you don't know how to communicate. And so that's also kind of a flaw. And so while it's cool, again, to 6 people, and 6 people go, wow, hey, he used the word bloviate correctly. No one else cares. Most people get turned off by that, and that's why people get mad at arrogant science. And that's where the whole flat earth thing started. What are you doing, Kitty? Nope. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. So it's too enticing. This little back thing here with all this stuff to play with is too enticing for Kitty. Come here. Don't even stare at it. Come here. Come here, Bubba. You want to be on TV? Well, this is not TV. Do you want to be on YouTube? She's just staring at me. So she's torn between jumping up there and destroying everything I've created. Bubba, come here. Now she's just going to stare at me. All right, yeah, there you go. Just relax. I can glue that stuff up there. Maybe that'll work. Yeah, you never know what people are going through. So yeah, so to put a button on the Ben thing, I definitely respect him as a researcher and as a thought leader. No, don't meow. Come here. Not getting up there. Come here. Come say hi. Whoa. Come say hello. Here, there you go. There's your 15 seconds of fame. She thinks this is all quite fascinating. Oh, whoa. No, she wants to make a move for the... Not the heavy equipment. Oh, man. She jacked my mic. Hold on. Okay, get this mic back up. Yeah, I guess if I had claws and stuff. Her new thing is she thinks it's really cool to eat spiders, which I don't think that's so cool. But she does. She thinks it's awesome. So she's been eating spiders like they're going out of style. And she finds big ones. I don't know where she gets them. And I find like a little pile of legs and stuff. And I'm like, ugh. I guess she doesn't so much like the legs. Okay. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of fed up with people that use the fact that they're smart in one area to make people assume that they're smart in all areas and then screw things up for people. Yes, the ASI vision paper. Yeah, because he probably just talked it into Siri. Vision paper. Listen, you can't. Well, we're not going to go into that. Doesn't matter. It's old news because it's happening. No matter how dodgy it was, it's happening. Okay. Yeah, I think he has an intimate relationship with pharmaceuticals and other hallucinogenic and what are all the categories of like drugs that expand your mind, mushrooms and all this kind of stuff. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that Ben's thing is that he's loud. I don't think he's loud all the time. He definitely overtalks people. So, but whatever, he's got his way. Everybody's got their ways. I'm toxic. So it is what it is. We all have our things. And yeah, that was Voodoo. She's awesome. But she's kind of like in her troublemaking phase. So that's something. Let's see. No, spiders don't have a good history of giving cats crap. Cats, there's a reason. Look, you think back, you don't have to go back too many thousands of years. Humans were being hunted by saber-toothed cats. Matter of fact, there was a point there where I think humans were down to like a little over 10,000 humans left, very close to that's it. It's over with. We gave it a shot. And the main predator was the saber-toothed cats, saber-toothed tigers. Like the main, this is it. And it's because of cats. So the only difference between a big cat and a little cat is their size. And I guess what they decide to eat. I mean, there's reasons, like clear reasons why they dominate pretty much every single environment. Go to any environment. Who runs, I mean, jungles, forest, plains, go on, figure out any environment you want. And there's a cat. There's usually a cat as the apex predator in those environments. That's why they're so cool. Yeah. Just spent 5 minutes trying to pronounce it. Yeah, that's the thing. We're going to have to workshop that, Howard. Okay. I'm going to take a look at markets, but just for perspective, we're not going to actually talk prices. And then we're going to talk about incremental decision theory. Again, I'm trying to beat into you fellas and fellas. What's the female version of fellas? No, I guess it'd still be fellas, wouldn't it? This idea that if you can make incrementally just tiny better decisions, that they have very massive effects on your overall life, right? Because we make lots of decisions, and if you can make lots of decisions even just a few points better on the aggregate, and your peers don't, because people don't think about the structure of the way that they form decisions. They don't think about their decision-making kind of pathways, the heuristic models, right, of making decisions. Like, how do I go from A to D, right? And if you think about the way that you form decisions and just restructure your brain's programming, which it's not very difficult, then you start to make better strategy decisions, better strategy choices, incrementally better decisions. And because we make so many decisions, even if you're only making decisions a little bit better than you were, it has a massive effect on your checkbook, on your money, on your currency units. I mean, if we want to just boil it down, you get richer, bro. So you want to, that's something that you can, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Like people, I do hear this a lot, Brandon, I hear this a lot. Well, I got to catch up, or I only have, I don't know how many more bull markets there's going to be. I got to make it up on this one. There's no making it up. Lost time is lost time. But you can change the way you make decisions. You have complete control over that. You don't have control over, some of you have a job that pays $290,000 a year. Some of you work at a coffee shop. That's fine. There's nothing good or bad, or you are where you are at this moment. However, you can immediately change the ways you make decisions. You can't immediately just get a ton of money and invest it. You can immediately start changing the way that you make decisions on the aggregate. And that's going to it's going to let you see when people are making, kind of flawed decisions. And when you start seeing that, you start realizing, oh God, that was me. I see that all the time. I was like, oh man, that was me. Even just all over the map. And that's the benefit of studying, game theory and cognitive bias. Those two things. I mean, if that's all that, gosh, history, math, science, game theory, and cognitive bias. If you did that for 4 years, you would be much more capable than than someone with an advanced PhD that can't get out of their own damn way in traffic. They can't even close their car door without getting their tie caught in it or something, So because it seems like people are not prepared. Well, there's zero financial education, but that's like a whole other, problem with education. But just in general, humans aren't really taught structured thinking. You might take some class in philosophy or something like that, which does help you structure argument, but that's neither here nor there. All right, let's look at markets. Okay, Bitcoin is getting its butt kicked, but kind of everything's getting its butt kicked. Let me do one thing really quickly. Let me go here. Nope, not that one. Let me go here. I've got all my hearts. All my hearts are wrong, man. Let's see. Do we get our hearts right? Yeah, we got our hearts right. Let's take another look. Way better. Okay, so now that we have our hearts correct. Let's look over here. Before we get into decisions, let's get into markets. Still 2.25 trillion. So, we were up at about 2.7. And then post ETF, the excitement starts to wane. It starts to wane. The macro is no surprise. The world has been in a slow, grinding recession. And it goes back to, like 2018 and 2019. Then COVID happens and they start, spewing out free money. And of course, that's like putting a big piece of duct tape over the low oil light, but it doesn't fix the underlying problem. No one fixed the low oil light. Like, why is the low oil light on? Just give everyone money. Okay, but that doesn't fix the car. That doesn't fix the engine. Give everyone money you can't print prosperity. So anyway, the Bitcoin getting beat up a little bit. 3% is not really much, but people think it's a lot because they're like, oh my God, Bitcoin's down to 61,000. It's only up 116% in the last year. Yeah, it's awful. Ethereum, 3,000, flat. Now, Ethereum is getting beat up a little bit more. It's getting to be, I think, more and more investable. You got to make your own decisions. But again, ETF time is coming. The first round of punts will start here in May, starting tomorrow. Yep, mid-May, I think, is the first round of no's, followed by, I think, yeses in August. That's what I believe. So we'll see. XRP, no one cares. Dogecoin, no one cares. Cardano, these days, no one really cares. Polkadot, no one cares. Matic, some people care. It's held right around that 70-cent range for quite a while. So it doesn't look bad. Uniswap, I don't know. Until they get out of legal trouble, they're gonna be in trouble. Filecoin looks pretty good. You're 60 cents away from the original ICO price. So if you feel like you missed something, you haven't maybe missed it. And 2 weeks ago, it was at $10. Cosmos, I don't know, man. Great staking, but like, even though the staking is like 20%, you're down 30% on the year, meaning you lost money on it. Depending on where you got in. Render, no one cares because Render's not a real company. Render's a company that fakes being a real company. It pretends it's a real company, and then it gets people like Chamath Palihapitiya to go on CNBC and talk about how they're a disruptor. And so basically the way they disrupt is whatever is the newest trend, they just say that they're that. Like when Solana was making its big moves because of all the meme coin bullcrap and a bunch of idiots that don't know any better. Render was like, yeah, Solana. And then Solana is a dumpster fire and it crashes all the time. And they're like, crap. So they don't talk about Solana anymore. And so now it's like, if some other network does something cool, they'll just jump over to that and say, we do this. They're just like, they're the worst Johnny come lately. Yeah, they're kind of, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, VeChain, why VeChain is still kind of interesting to me is they have a lot of exposure to China, and it is logistics and it's provenance and it's anti-counterfeiting. And listen, there's no China, and 95% of China is about counterfeiting. You know what? That's all they do anyway. Like, knocking off products and counterfeiting is pretty much the whole world's business proposition, except for a few companies. So it is what it is. Yeah. Optimism has actually, I mean, it's getting beat up today. But again, as a layer 2, because I think that's the discussion after layer 1s, meaning Ethereum. There's really no more layer 1s because no one cares about the other layer 1s. So they're not really competitive. And since they're not competitive, it's like, what's the point? Remember that in any bull market, there's only about 17 big up days per year. That means, there's 348-ish down days or mediocre days. So when you see these macro effects, which again, overly punish markets, especially anemic markets, especially where a lot of people are kind of panicky, and you had a lot of weak. Let me figure out how to say this without being a dick. You had a lot of dumbasses come into the crypto space. Every time the markets start to turn up, a bunch of dummies pour in and invariably give all their money to veterans. That's it. They just hand us their money and we take it. So if you're smart, you stockpiled. And when you hit your profit marks, you took your profit. There's a lot of places where people should have taken profit recently. You would have taken profit with Arweave. You would have taken profit with Fetch. You would have taken profit with AGIX. You would have taken profit with Ocean. You would have taken profit. Let's go down. Depending on where you got in, you would have taken some profit with Hypercycle. Crapgito was a fake pump, which no one goes to jail. So I guess that's good. NewNet didn't even get a fake pump because it's hard to get anybody excited about that thing. It was never 59 cents, by the way, that ever. I do think, though, they're going to pump the smoke out of it because I think they want to reverse melt it into this ASI dumpster fire. So my guess is that's going to go, that's going to go, that's going to go, that's going to go. Singularity DAO, even Mario's not that stupid, so he probably won't let them take his token into ASI. Unless, although, I say that, and Mario's a pretty dumb guy. So, yeah, I have to rethink that. He's one of the less intelligent people I've met. He's good. He's a good accountant. But he's just an accountant. That's his problem. He's an accountant. He shouldn't be running a company. Yeah. Maybe accountants should stay in the accounting department and not run companies. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. That's kind of a breakdown of what's going on. It was like, what's the reason? There's no the reason. The world doesn't usually have the reason. There's many reasons. They're all weighted differently. I think when you have generally bad economic news, it punishes for several days, and then people, like everything else, they just get over it. They get desensitized and they go, okay, it's time to invest again. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants more currency units. The way you get those is by making incrementally better decisions. So I think that's what we should do now. Let me see if I'm sure I have a cool image somewhere. But anyway, let's get into incremental decision making and how we can kind of improve this so that when we come back to these markets, we can make better decisions. Hopefully, over and over, and expand our financial event horizon. If that makes sense.
Hello. You're late.
You're bad at math, but I'm giving you an A+ in confidence.
Just doing what I gotta do.
Extra credit.
Okay, so we have this dude. He's really thinking. Look at that guy's thinking about some stuff. I don't even think I can cross my legs like that without my ankles hurting. Whatever. But the idea of we like compound interest. So I always think of decisions as a form of compound interest or a form of kind of intellectual arbitrage. And to that end, you can train yourself to make incrementally better decisions. So there you go. And for those of you that are like, hey, why aren't we going behind the wall and all this kind of stuff? You guys know how this works. If you don't, you're just choosing to forget. Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's no behind the wall. We talk about what we talk about. Then about an hour later, I nuke the video where it's only available for the digital investors and digital private clients. Cool. And just real quick, the tone network, that's not a layer 1. That's just not what that is. And yeah, it's not replacing anything. It's a token, so the people that created Telegram can have a token. Come on, Benson. This is like it's cash heist 101. Yeah. All right. And also, Charlene, real quick, what makes you mad? Are you mad that we talk vaguely about markets? You realize that everybody in every market talks about markets. I'm sure there's like 4 or 5 cognitive biases you just violated. Go back through the list. Anyway, let's talk about decisions and making better ones. So the concept is basically this. Well, one, it's fascinating and it's obviously practical. It's something that you should practice. You should also probably tell your, people that you care about, they should be thinking about this. And it's the idea that incrementally improving your decision-making will have huge outputs on the other end of it. So specifically, we're going to delve into applying game theory into everyday decisions, even little bitty, what you think are not important decisions. Because every decision over time leads, it's the net effect, right? And so you can have very significant benefits over time in the same way that a small amount of interest, if it's compounded, can have a huge, what seems like a ridiculous, like I was thinking yesterday, because of the rule of sevens and all this kind of stuff, if you can get over 7%, then essentially every 7 to 7 and change years, you're going to get a double in your money. So you think, okay, how would I get a 10x on my portfolio over time? Well, a 10x is a 5x and a 2x, right? Or a 2, and a quarter, right? So technically, if you had 20 years, you could get an 8x. You had about 23, 24 years. I know it's a long time, but just think about that. At the worst, most sloppy 7%, you could 10x your portfolio. Now, of course, you got to beat inflation and debasement effects. You're going to at least cut that in half. So you probably need another double after that. But for sure, in 30 years, you can get a 10x. This means anybody can get a 10x on their portfolio in 30 years just showing up. All you have to do is show up. Matter of fact, you don't even have to really show up. But anyway, just keep that in mind. So what we're trying to do is beat 30 years. We're trying to get that 10x in, say, 6 years, 5 years, which is still pretty amazing if you think about it. So we're going to look at the groundwork for that. So imagine a person, and again, I've done this kind of thought experiment with you guys a few times, but it's important to talk about. So imagine that we make 100 decisions every day. Of these, 20 of these decisions are important, right? And within these important decisions, 10 of them are crucial, like critical decisions, right? So if this person uses principles of game theory to make decisions, which again, game theory are the strategic interdependencies and interactions between players in a game, and how you can make the best decision possible while considering everyone else's best decisions possible. It's game theory, right? And there's some underlying math and calculus, but the broad strokes are that you make fundamentally better decisions. So again, we're assuming that you're going to make fundamentally better decisions. The cumulative effect, yes. So we have 20 important decisions. Of those, 10 are crucial. So if this person is using game theory and making decisions that are on average about 10% better than their peers, which is easy. It's easy to be 10% better than people that do nothing, because most people do nothing. So in real terms, what does that turn out to be? So, and again, we kind of convert this into what looks like kind of benefit points or just plain interest. So for important decisions, each decision that you're making that is 10% better yields a 0.1 benefit point, a 10 basis benefit points, right? So for crucial decisions, let's assume a higher value. So let's assume for crucial decisions, you're really thinking about it and you're going to make a 20% better decision. Again, that's just a fifth better. That's just a little bit better. So this equals 0.2 benefit points, or kind of twice the benefit. Well, it is. It's 20% better decision. Then 20% is twice 10%. You get that. Okay, good. So if we add this up daily, each person is earning 4 full benefit points. Now, if you kind of backwards the math, a full benefit point is a full decision that you got 100% better. Does that make sense? So like if you make a lot of decisions that are 10 and 20% better, eventually that adds up to a full 100% better decision. Like you were on the sidewalk, someone else walked into oncoming traffic. That is 100% different choice, right? Because dead. So you've earned by doing this 4 benefit points every day. Think about that for a second. 4 decisions a day that are 100% better than your peers. That's a lot. And so you say, oh, that doesn't seem like much. Well, scale it up. In a week, it's 28 extra full decisions. It's 28 benefit points. Think of a full benefit point as a full decision that you made that's 100% better than your peers, which is a lot. Yes, Howard's right. Every decision feeds on another, and it's compounding interest of decisions. So this thing scales up quick too, because then in a month, you're at 120 decisions. In a year, 1,460 full decisions. Full decisions. So what does it mean in practical terms? It means that by making incrementally better decisions, this individual effectively makes 37,960 effective decisions in a year, effective, compared to their peers that are only making 36,500 effective decisions. Does that make sense? So because your efficacy is 10% higher. So not only are you making 100% better decisions, but your aggregate decision is just better. So then you think, oh man, the takeaway here is this compounding interest effective decision making. So like with financial interest, small improvements, small increments compound over time, and that leads to significantly enhanced outcomes. So this principle is not just theoretical. This is a practical thing that everybody can utilize. And it can be the smallest thing. Like you have 3 things to do in the house. You got to turn off those 2 lights. You got to grab a bag of trash and all that. Instead of going here, then here, then here, then here, and making 7 trips, could you just make 1 trip where you did everything that just bought yourself 8 or 10 minutes of extra free time? So like, people are like, I want to be lazy. You can earn the right to be lazy in the space between dumb decision making. There's plenty of good lazy time there. I carve out all sorts of extra time to go play Population 1 on the computer. Well, it's not computer. I mean, it is a computer on the Quest. But I carve it out of time that other people do. Oh, I just don't have the time of the day. No, you have the time of the day. You're just extremely inefficient and sloppy and impractical. But this is a way that you can kind of, you can quantify enhanced decision making, these incrementally better decisions. You can see like these improvements over time compounded. So this is something that everybody can do. It's pretty, it is kind of easy. So in game theory, every single decision you make is an opportunity to strategize and optimize that outcome, or like a series of outcomes. So by applying this mindset to everyday decisions, you gain this cumulative advantage. Cumulative. You almost have to put a British accent on it to make it sound cool. So, and this is a lot like working out, going to the gym, like building muscles. The more you use, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the more weight you can move. The more weight you can move, the more muscle you tear. The more muscle you tear, that you get it. That's a virtuous cycle. And so how would you apply it in your regular real life? Well, 1, awareness. Be conscious of the decisions that you're making. Don't just be on autopilot. That's not good. And you want to change your routines up on a regular basis, not to kill or quell efficiency, but so that you're being aware, so that you're not falling into patterns. If you fall into patterns, you start getting lazy and sloppy. And then what happens is if you ever change your pattern, you're completely screwed. So what you want to do is on a regular basis, slightly change your patterns so that the idea is that your pattern is one of change, one of conscious decision-making. Evaluate all of the potential or many of the realistic potential outcomes and decisions that you're making, and, weight bigger decisions that need more consideration, right? The best path to drive to the store, probably not as important as the best path to drive to the store if you need to get insulin for somebody that's going into anaphylactic shock or atropine or whatever, right? Like different decisions, different level of intensity. So look at these possible outcomes for these decisions. Think about your best case scenario. Think about your worst case scenario. Kind of what are the probabilities, and analyze these factors even in a very simple way. And I just give points to things. This point system I got from when I was talking. I think I talked yesterday because I did this kind of statistics course, and part of it was we learned how to count cards in blackjack. The other part of it that I didn't say is we had to memorize every single possible hand in blackjack, which you can do. It's not an infinite, it's a non-infinite amount. So you memorize every single hand in blackjack, then you have the statistical best bet in every single scenario. And then when you get to the end of the shoe, you know that there's few cards left and you ascribe points to certain cards. And as you see them in the course of the game, you have a point system of plus and minus and zero. And it gets you to where towards the end of the shoe, with a high degree of accuracy what those cards likely are. And you can make some serious money towards the end of a shoe. And if it's, the less decks, the better, because it's easier to count. But it's just a running count. So anyway, that's card counting. And in that, I got used to this idea of ascribing points, -2, +2, -3, and just going, 2, -2, we're at 0, 3, -2, we're at 1, and just kind of in your mind. And so this is the same way that you resolve or reconcile a payoff matrix in game theory. Whereas if I do this, it'd probably be 2 points of good. If I do this, it'd be 3 points of bad. So I don't want to do that. But if they do this, we each get 1 point. Well, maybe it's better that we each get 1 point than that I shoot for 2 and miss and get -3. So that's kind of using a payoff matrix. You can do this. You can teach yourself to just score things very quickly, 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, whatever. And so in doing that, when you're analyzing things in this new simplified way, you have a very clear way of just making decisions oh, that's a 3, that's a 2. I'm going to do the 3. Gone, done. You just get used to a point system. That's what I do. It seems easy. Anyway, to kind of put a bow on this, the small, consistent improvements in decision-making will lead to outsized benefits over time. And this is the power of game theory in everyday life, and it's accessible to everyone. So the more that you're willing to start thinking strategically in your daily decisions, and then how they add up to significant advantages in the long run, the more your inputs determine your outputs. So for those of you that are I want to get more money, I want to get more stuff, why don't you maximize what you have at your disposal, which is your ability to make decisions. So fix that right now, or you're gonna constantly do good in a market, come into a bunch of cash and squander it, or be stupid on the other end and give it all back. That's not the point. So it's one thing to make money. It's another thing to keep it. So don't do all this work and make all this, what I think a lot of people are going to make a lot of currency units over the next, many months. And a lot of people are going to squander it. And a lot of people are going to be stupid. And so, yes, you and by the way, when you do this, you will get called lucky a lot. which is great. Awesome. Be like, yep, so lucky. So think strategically with your daily decisions and watch how they add up and this kind of compounded interest effect of decision making. And it leads to huge, significant advantages over time. So embrace the game theory point mindset. I think that's the best way to do it. Oh, Howard, hold on, everyone. Howard's got a serious question. Everyone, quiet. Silence. Silence, everyone. You're not going to hell for squaring. Oh, yeah. Buddy. This is the new improved non-cursing Nick. Well, it's part of my own personal training for self-control. It really has nothing to do with cursing. It's that this is something that I do. I cursed a lot. I still do a little bit when I'm playing the video games, but not as much because I turn the microphone off and I just listen for footsteps and bullets and then go murder people. But it was something that I could immediately attack. It was a personal issue that I wanted to immediately attack. Because the way you communicate, some people, they're okay with cursing and things like that. Some people are not. So I have to be mindful of that. So there you go. All right. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything that my poor, insolvent, drunk, strung out on meth grandmother would not do, which is very little. Brandon, I've got to assume it's going to be hot as hell here. It's going to be like 80 degrees here. And well, I don't know. It's hot. It's going to be nice. Definitely a swimming pool day for me. Yeah. But Brandon's probably wearing sleeves because markets, right? Don't let these markets frustrate you. Remember, we're just looking for 17 days a year. We get our 17 days. We're happy as heck. See what I did there, Howard? Yeah. Anyway, deuces.
If you're an accredited investor and you want in on angel, seed round or early round equity and token opportunities in the artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency space, schedule an interview at nickblacknext.com. In life, you can either be really good, really lucky, or just be first. Being first is so much easier. Schedule a digital private client interview today at nickblacknext.com.